Introducing a beginner golfer to a driver. Let's do it.
And let's do it now.
Best case scenario, it flies over all those people the other side of the range 350 yards away.
Can't see it.
Hi everyone, James Robinson here. If you're new to the channel and this is your very first time watching my content, first of all, welcome to the channel. Second of all, please make sure you don't leave before you hit that subscribe button. On this channel, I bring you guys golf related content every single day, hopefully to help you raise your game, generally to help you lower that handicap, but mainly to get you enjoying golf more than ever before. In today's video, we all remember Mr. Fox, the beginner golfer. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Looking very smart in your new golfing attire.
Cool.
Thanks to Par 73 for that. Little Adidas cap, my shorts. They might be a bit big, but we're okay.
Nope.
And today, he's already got it out, look. Driver. So you've had a few lessons already. We've done a bit of putting, we've done a bit of iron work. We've seen if you can hit blades. Now it's time for the big one. It's time for the one that everyone's interested in.
The big dog.
So first of all, obviously beginner golfer, pick the driver up for me and just tell me what you noticed different about it as to clubs you've already used.
It's very long.
Very long?
Very long, yeah. Got a nice big head on it.
It has got a very big head on it, yeah. And what about kind of loft on that head?
Seems very flat, straight down more or
Very
less.
flat. So I should probably say that the driver that I've chosen for you to use, TaylorMade M6. Now I'm sure it doesn't mean much to you at the moment. TaylorMade, obviously great brand, M5, M6. We've got a very good history of drivers, and we've gone for the M6 primarily because you see this weight in the back here.
Oh.
That is an inertia generator, whatever that means, but basically it is the more forgiving model. So for you beginners out there, don't go rushing into buying the most expensive driver, the one with all the adjustable weights, things like that, because for a beginner, I personally don't think you're going to see a huge difference. Once you get into it and you start kind of practicing, having your lessons, then you might see a difference in club fitting. We've got 9 degrees set on a little bit higher, so just to kind of try and help you a little bit more, get the ball airborne. But you get to hit one, so we don't even know what's going to happen, do we?
No idea.
There you go. So I should also say, guys, as well, huge thank you to the guys here at Aphrodite Hills for hosting us. It is a fantastic venue. The driving range here is beautiful. We've got it to ourselves today as well, which is a rarity. It's very busy up at the other end up there, but the facilities here are fantastic. Massive thank you to the guys at Golf Mates Travel for arranging this and getting us out here. How is he going to hit this driver? Do we tell him anything first, or do you just want to have a go?
Let's have a go, let's have a laugh.
What do you, so, any idea what that is?
Toothpick. It's a T-peg, innit?
So generally what we're going to do, remember guys, this is a beginner video, but hopefully you might take a few things from it even if you're not a beginner. Find yourself a nice bit of turf, and we're going to put the T-peg in the ground so that half of the golf ball is kind of over the equator of the club there. Okay?
Yeah.
That's your kind of ideal. You don't want it right down too low, and you don't want it way too high. So just halfway in, that's a bit of a reference point for you, okay?
Beautiful.
First shot ever with a driver. I'll tell you what, low left, but it was struck. So for anyone who is keeping kind of up to date with this beginner series, we have big news actually. We have now got a little bit of a partnership, and there might be a full club fitting, well there will be a full bag club fit from Mizuno coming for us, and that is in aid of seeing if Mr. Fox can break 100 in Dubai in 6 months time. What do you think?
Sounds like it's going to be difficult.
It does. So we're going to watch you hit a couple of shots before we kind of delve right in. What are your thoughts from your standard golf lesson, so the first lesson you had?
Any thoughts from them?
So anything that you might want to try to take into this?
Weight transfer going through the shot.
Yep, perfect.
Long club, so I think I'd have to be quite far away, which I think...
Yeah, a bit further away, yeah.
I think the swing should almost be maybe the same.
Similar, we'll go into a little bit of differences, and I think this is one thing where... Oh, has it fallen off the tee?
Oh, yeah.
Nightmare. This is definitely one thing where, as a beginner, I'm going to be teaching Mr. Foxy, let's go Foxy, I'm going to be teaching Foxy a little bit differently than if, say, an 18 handicap, a mid handicap, a low handicap, even a high handicap with experience would come for a lesson. You're going to get different information, because all we're going to try and do initially is get you around that golf course at some point today or tomorrow, potentially today, and just have you enjoying it, because that's why you're here, isn't it? To enjoy it. Take a step back, just come back here, innit? You set up, literally get yourself so that you're nice and tall, arms hanging down, and then from there move it away with your chest, set it up, and just turn through that way. And you see, I haven't tried to absolutely nail that. Yeah. I've just turned up, turned down, and one of the big differences is when you're hitting the driver as opposed to an iron. The iron we talked about hitting down on it, didn't we? Yeah. Now the driver's on a T-peg, we're not trying to hit down on it, we're just going to sweep it off a little bit there. Okay? Right.
So you still stand with ball in middle? Or?
So rather than the middle, that's where you're going wrong there with the kind of obviously not quite hitting it. Yeah. Ball wants to be left toe, I would say.
Left toe.
Get something nice. Bit of grass there. So you see how if I was hitting an iron here, I'd be there with the hands forward. Yeah. Obviously with a driver that doesn't look right, does it? I'd be more there.
Right.
So it's kind of on off that left side.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do there is just sweep it on the up. Effort. And you see, so there's a big thing there about obviously the ball pitched there, so we caught the top of it. And when you missed it earlier, you were coming this way. Yeah. So all we're doing is kind of exiting too high. So you want to feel as though, just pop the club down. No, sorry, is he going to hit it?
Oh, right.
So you just want to feel as though you're working, holding to it, that way through and around, instead of kind of down and up.
Right.
Straight away. Nice. Very good. We're going to throw down a club here for your ball position there. So you want your left foot just inside that club there. Perfect. And that gives you a bit of a reference point for when you are practicing and things like that. Nearly. Perfect. So I tell you what I want to see you do as well. Because you're exiting so high, I think your hands are working against each other. So as you hold it now, I want you to hold it up in the air to start with, left hand at the end, pull that left finger out and put your little finger in there a little bit so the hands are locked together. Yep. So rather than being, there's no problem with them being there proper close together, but if you start to get a bit of a gap, the hands start to work in different directions, so then you start to kind of pull up a little bit earlier. Yep. So just let that index finger intertwine with your little finger, or your pinky, and see how that goes. Does that feel weird?
Yeah, a little bit.
Ah! There we go.
Yeah, it definitely helps the hands be a lot looser though, that grip.
Yeah. It's just why we're in this video. I want you to smash those comments below. What's the best driver tip you've ever been given? I feel like here in the beginner lesson, we're just trying to throw a few little tips at you, but I want to know what the best tip you've ever had. What's, for you Foxy, in your kind of first few days of golfing, what's the thing that's helped you the most?
Soft hands.
Grip pressure, definitely, yeah. Nearly. So close. Good effort. And this is a really interesting one now because I'm seeing a similar pattern here as to what we saw when we did introducing you to irons, so just hitting 8-iron, 4-iron, that kind of thing. So what I actually want you to feel like you're doing, I want you to feel like you're hitting more down on that ball. Because what we're doing at the moment is as you load to the top of the backswing, you're doing a really good job into loading into the right side, but then staying there and the club's working that way, then you move into your finishing position. Whereas I almost want you to feel like you load up and get down into that left side, so you're going to hit down on it a little bit more. Usually you wouldn't hit down on a driver. We all know if you're not a beginner, you would try and kind of keep that spine angle back, tilt back and launch it, which is what you're trying to do, but just a little bit too much. So let's see if actually by trying to hit down on it a little bit more, we get that better strike. I think we will. So almost feel like the low point, I mean when the driver works down on its arc, the low point's there, like in line with that it won't be, but feel like you're working down to that. Basically imagine the ball's like there. Ooh, nearly, good effort. But that's, so you see, for a beginner, for me, worst case scenario, you make contact with it and it goes forwards. That's, you know what I mean, that's fine. Best case scenario, it flies over all those people the other side of the range 350 yards away.
Can't see it.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. And that's near enough the first one, but you've properly middled, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Great shot. And did you feel like you were trying to hit down a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah? He's listening.
I'm trying. Ready to try it.
We can break 100 in Dubai.
Reckon?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, your putting went well.
I can't. What? 50 puts down one hole.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay guys, so what we're going to do now is something a little bit different as to what I would usually do for a beginner lesson. We're going to put his swing on film, on camera, not this camera, but my teaching camera. I'm going to slow it in slow motion because I've got a feeling you're quite a visual person, aren't you?
Yes.
So seeing it will sort of
help me out.
Help you out a little bit. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put them on the screen so you can see, and we're going to talk through exactly what I see is good in the technique, what I see we could change in the technique, and where do we go from there. Great shot. Oh, he's nailed it. Oh! Okay guys, so as I'm explaining this to Foxy, you're also going to see this on the screen right here. So as you can see, setup I quite like. If we draw a few lines on it, I would probably say that we're maybe a little bit too upright. I think you could get a little bit over it, arch over a little bit more, and from there you might find it a little bit easier. But what I absolutely love is this takeaway to here. That's money. That's really, really good. From there it works a touch inside. So if we're going to draw kind of a shaft plane on there, we'll do that in white. You can see how it's outside the ball. So the ball's there. Ideally that would kind of be pointing down at the ball. So we might look to work on that at some point. Remember, this is a beginner. This is a first ever lesson with a driver. So you would probably look at doing this maybe more with an iron or something like that. But then this is what really gets me. How good, guys, does that position look at the top for a beginner golfer? That looks absolutely incredible there. So from there, what happens? Because we know that the bad shot is a little bit of a top, maybe a little bit of a miss over the top of it. And what happens is if you can see the footwork here in that box, not up to the knee ideally, but from there, watch how we're going to go right down to impact, and the weight still hasn't moved towards that target side. The feet are still flat-footed and planted, aren't they? Yeah. From there, you actually make a really good contact with it. You rescued it with the upper body. I'm looking at that right foot, it's still not moved. Still not moved, still not moved, still not moved. And you've almost contorted your body a little bit, I don't know if that's even a word, to try and generate that strike with the hands and the arms. And you can see how the left, the weight is actually probably more on the right still, because the left toe is off the ground. Yeah. And then you know that you have to get the weight through, so later on in the motion you move through and you get the right movement. Yeah. Okay? Back in the room.
Definitely, it doesn't look like there's nothing there at the bottom. Yeah. Just stood.
So there, we've seen on the video, and you've seen yourself what it looks like. I'm really impressed with that for a first go with a driver, but definitely a few things we can look to work at. So what I try and do with beginner golfers is try and kind of look at what sports you already do. So you're big into cricket, you've played a lot of rugby. If you were to throw a cricket ball back to the umpire, bowler, you throw the cricket ball back, you would never throw it back, or a baseball or any kind of ball. Hey mate, yeah? That didn't look right, did it? No. So if you were to throw a ball, you'd be straight through and in and find yourself in that posture. But at the moment you release the ball, that's when your weight's moving. And it's the same with a driver.
We'll have a go.
Funnily enough, very similar point to what we did in the kind of first golf lesson, and that goes to show that even as a beginner golfer, you still start to see maybe habits and little things that you do well and not so well.
Civvy.
Give me some. Yes. So maybe we might go a little, try and break 90 in Dubai after that one, I think.
No.
That was awesome. Got to have enjoyed that.
I did, yeah. You saw a little smile on my face.
We'll work on kind of how to tee a ball up later on. Right, so I want you to take me kind of half a dozen shots just with those thought processes in mind. Got another one. Oh, where did that go?
Just to these 3 flags here to the left of that tree. But it was very, very low.
Good strike though, weren't it? Don't worry about low, we can work on low. It's also mega important that when you are a beginner or a high handicapper, you don't have too many expectations. So throughout this lesson, he's missed a couple, he's topped a couple, he's ripped a couple. So when you do hit a good one, make sure that you feel that you've hit a good one. You're happy that you hit a good one. You know it's gone a little bit left, but it was a great swing, it was a great strike. And make sure you do take positives from good things that you do. Oh, there was some speed in that one. Effort. I'll tell you one thing, maybe don't be scared to have a practice swing. So you know, every swing you have, you don't have to hit balls. So just have a couple of, you know, full speed ones that you might hit the T peg or something, and good. See that your weight transfer was a touch delayed. Good. Nice, really good. Clip that T nicely then.
So do I need to be like leaning over almost like that?
So what you're going to feel is you're going to stand nice and tall.
Yep.
Quite athletic in the knees, then you're going to flex from the hips and then just let the arms hang. So from there you're in a position where you can rotate, because if you're too tall or too high up, you're going to then have to kind of bring it inside as opposed to just let it set. So we spoke about kind of the shaft play, and I'm not going to go too much into that in this lesson or on this video in particular, because again it's your first one. But ideally, so set yourself up and bring it back forward slowly. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Ideally, you're going to be there where that points down at the ball. So don't worry about that too much today. That's just a bit of information for you. Okay guys, so a couple of things that we've looked at in this lesson so far. We've looked at the stance, we looked at the ball position, all general things that you would expect to look at for maybe a beginner with a driver. So let's have a couple of nice ones to finish on with the big dog. Great shot. So just to let you all know, that's gone a little bit right, but you're talking 200 yard there, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
And what I love about that is you're finally getting it launching. Don't worry about the direction too much, we can sort that another time. Nice. Well done.
The difference with them last two is I'm stopping here, obviously with the angle of the shaft, and instead of being all the way back here.
So I feel like you're shortening it?
Yeah, shortening, and it's actually helping me.
And interestingly, yeah, you feel that way. It's not actually shortening it visually a lot, but I think it's just giving you a little bit more time. Yeah. So milliseconds make all the difference, and you're giving yourself that bit of time to actually get the weight transfer through at the right time, and not after you've hit the shot.
After the fact.
Love it. Great shot. Surprise yourself?
A little bit, yeah.
So guys, first lesson for a beginner golfer with a driver. How do you feel like it's gone?
Better than expected, I think.
To be honest, and there's always a period in, we've all been beginners, haven't we? We've all stood there not 100% sure what to do, and when you've missed a couple, you can see the, not frustration in there, but you can see that it starts to get a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
And that's where I had to step in, or the coach has to step in and say, look, this is what we do. And we looked at it, we drew lines on it, we picked it apart a little bit, and some of these shots you hit towards the end were absolutely, honestly, you wouldn't think it was a beginner golfer. The stance is pretty good, setup's really good, ball position now is good. One thing that I think we will start to do, and we are going for a full bag fitting with Mizuno, so when you do get fitted for a driver, I'd probably recommend we need a little bit more loft, just because your good shots were still a little bit low, weren't they?
Yeah. But
there is loads of time, and to be honest, I think for a first lesson you've done really, really well there. How did you find the M6 as opposed to an iron?
I did find definitely more forgiving than an iron.
Yeah?
A lot more forgiving.
Just longer, isn't it?
It's longer, yeah.
That is it from me. That was a beginner golfer's first ever lesson with a driver. What did you think, guys? Hit those comments below. How did he do? I think he did really, really well. If you're interested in this, please make sure you do watch the introduction to putting, introduction to chipping, introduction to bunkers, which we've not filmed yet. That'll be a bit of fun for you. And also, like I said, we have a huge challenge. Can he break 100 in Dubai in a matter of months? I think maybe someone's nodding over there down the range, so we're not sure. But I think with a couple of those drives that he's done and he's put in, the potential is there. He's going to be fitted for a full set of irons and clubs, so that is definitely going to help. Guys, if you are new here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button below. Leave us a like if you enjoyed that content, and as always, Huge thank you to the guys at Aphrodite Hills because it's been a fantastic day once again, but I'll see you tomorrow.